Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. Today I want to show you a little software, a little extension plugin, WordPress plugin of course, that I want to show you that is currently on AppSumo. And I did try the free version and the pro version, so I'm going to show you both of them. This plugin is Simply Static. So that plugin allows you to create a static version of your WordPress website. So in other words, you can export it as an HTML file and CSS, of course, and so on, and just put those files onto your server instead of having the entire WordPress site. So I'm going to show you how it works and show you the result. And of course, based on that, you'll be able to take a decision for yourself whether it's worth it or not. So let's first take a look at the website, the WordPress website. So this is a one-page website mostly that I've built for a client using bricks. This is not the final website, by the way. This website is bilingual, so whoops, I don't know what's happened here. Okay, so here we go. Probably just a little problem. I'll reset the permalinks. That's because, like I said, I copied that from another website. So translation was not, the path was not all right. Probably the htaccess file. So anyway, you had that website here. Like I said, this website was built with Bricks Builder. If I take a look at the plugins that I currently have, I've got a bunch of plugins. You might have more, you might have less, of course. I have the ASE Pro admin site enhancement that is activated. Advanced Themer is activated, as well as ACSS frames for a couple of for the accordion and a couple of things. Altex and a few plugins like that, but these are mostly for back end processing. This one could be deactivated, by the way, because the original site was on Insta.wp. I also have ShortPixel installed and optimizing, and WP Rocket as well. So this is really important. This website right now is optimized. It has a cache plugin, and it also have the images optimized. So I'm going to show you the page speed score in a few minutes, but take note of that. Of course, the score would be way less if those two plugins were not installed. So if I take a look at let's go directly with the score of that website for the WordPress version. I have a 71 here. I'm hosting on a really cheap web host, by the way. Like I said, I moved them to a different web host simply to compare apples with apples. So I've put both sites on a cheap server and two different subfolders. So this is really something cheap. So that's why the score might be a little bit lower than it should be. But the performance is 71. The rest is pretty good. On mobile, this is on mobile, and on desktop, I have 95, 100 everywhere. So this is for the WordPress with the cache optimization plugin and ShortPixel installed as well. Now, if I take a look at the static version, you can see that is exactly the same. Bricks is not listed in the supported page builder, but that being said, as you can see, it supports it really well. No problem with that. Also, it says that multilingual is not supported in the free version. By the way, I've used the free version right now to create that website, the Simply Static free version of the plugin. And as you can see, the English version is working perfectly well as well. So it created a subfolder for that, and it put that inside of it. If I take a look, by the way, in the files for that, let's see. This is the one. So what it created is one HTML file and one robots.txt file. And then it created a subfolder for all of the pages. So WP content, it kept that for the file, of course. the images and so on. WP includes as well. Realization is a subpage that you have here for images. So it kept all the light box capacity and so on. So really, really cool. Um, the privacy policy, I think I didn't translate that one, maybe. The subfolder, oh, that's true. This is the French one. So politique de confidentialité is the French for privacy policy. And realization, those are 2 pages. It has created a subfolder for that. Same thing for the English version. It has created a subfolder for the English version, and then of course the 2 pages as well. Also, it has created for me. I didn't create it a 404 page. I didn't even take a look at it. So let's see if I have 404. What will it look like? I didn't even take a look at that. Let's see. Okay. So probably I've copied again the same thing that I have on my main website. I didn't create any 404 pages. So it has created one for me. So these are the files that I have on my server. So if I take a look at the final output of that website, you can see here that the page speed score is 75, 100, 96, 85. So pretty much the same thing as this one here. And of course, numbers might vary a little bit from time to time. So sometimes it's closer. This one is 71, this one is 75, but sometimes the other one is 75 as well. So pretty close. There's just one tiny problem for the SEO. I don't know why it says that the href is not valid. That's pretty important if you have a bilingual or multilingual site. It has only the alternate tags. So that might be what they mean when they say that multilingual is not supported. It didn't create the default language one. So that might be the issue. I'm going to show you the pro version that I didn't test yet as I'm doing this part of the video. I didn't even test the pro version yet. So that might be the reason why we have a little bit lower score for SEO. And of course, if SEO is important, that might be a big deal for you, especially if you have multilingual site. Now then, the desktop version, I have 96, 100, 100, and of course the same score here for SEO. So you can see that is pretty much the same thing as the optimized version. Now, take note that it's really the optimized version, and we're going to compare. This is using, like I said, the static version, the static free version, Simply Static free version of the plugin. So let's take a look at the pro version. I'm going to install that, export it, and then I'm going to come back to that video. Just before doing so, maybe it would be a good idea to just take a look at the different characteristic of the plugin. So you have many settings here that you don't need to change at all. I didn't touch any of those settings. It's just where you want to save it. You can, of course, use that for offline usage, but usually you will use the one of the two. I use relative path, the default one. You have some utilities here to make sure that the diagnostic here, by the way, to make sure that everything is going to be fine. So you see that I have caching now. That creates a problem, but from the other website that I exported it first, I did a WP Vivid export from the other site for both of the sites. I didn't export it from this particular site, so it was working perfectly well. So I didn't have any of those red check mark. So that's probably just this website here that is, like I said, a little bit from cheap hosting. Then you simply click on generate files and it will generate the files for you, and you can download it after if you put it on a zip file like I did. So right now I'm in the original, not final, but still original website that is on Insta.wp. I went there just to show you that I have all green lights from that website. So it's probably on my cheaper hosting. I have PHP version 8, by the way. So this is the pro version. One thing to notice, you don't need to install the free version when you install the Pro, but as you can see, it still says that about the free versions. So I guess, yes, it has installed it for me. So you don't have to manually install it separately, but it still has two different versions. I would have liked to have just one version. Why having two plugins? We know that when we need the Pro, we want the Pro. So why still have the free version installed? But anyway, many plugins work like that. So let me go back here. So I have the generate, I have the settings that I also have in the free version. I have builds here. That is something that is only in the Pro version. So let's take a look at that. So you can create your own build. Okay, yeah, I know that's one thing that is available with the Pro version that is not with the free version. By the way, if I come here to the pricing, we can see the difference. Usual price is $239 for 5 websites, $100 per year for 1 website, and $499 for 25 websites. Right now in AppSumo, you can have 1 website for lifetime for $59, 5 websites for $159, and it's on the AppSumo Day Special. And you can have unlimited websites for $299 as well. What's the difference between the two? So in the Pro version, you can have single exports. So we'll take a look at those settings because I didn't test it. I'm testing it live with you. We can build exports, and this is what we have in the Pro. This is what we see. So what I think it means is simply that we can create pre-made exports, if we can say it like that we can reuse over and over again to re-export the same file. So if I make some modifications on my WordPress site and I want to export it again, I don't have to restart from scratch. I can create my own exports. I think that's what it means. But what is even better, we can have incremental exports. So that way we can, from my understanding, only export the modification since the previous one. So that way we don't have to re-export and re-import all the files each and every time. We have forms integration. So this is one thing that I didn't show you. But on my own page here, I do have a form and it has exported the form perfectly well, but it doesn't work. Okay, so I did a test previously. If I click on send button, it will simply loop endlessly. So to have your forms working, you will need the Pro version. Search integration, comments integration. So probably for the post, you will have the comments form simply. Multilingual support is only available in the Pro version. As you saw with Template Press, the English version was working, but there was an SEO issue in PageSpeed Insights, so that might be the reason why. CLI support, minification, so that should mean that the file should be even smaller with the Pro version. We'll see that. Hide WordPress, I didn't check, but I guess that in the code, it still shows that you are using WordPress. Let's see. I didn't see when I check any notification, but of course it shows you that you are using some WordPress content, some WordPress plugins. So will it remove that? I don't know, because there's no mention of WordPress itself. So we'll see when exported with the Pro version if it makes a difference. And you also have image optimization included with the Pro version. So then again, it should have a better score with the Pro version than with the free version. So we will test it to see if it makes a difference. Settings, pretty much the same as what we have in the free version. We can deploy to zip archive, to local directory, or simple CDN. We also have, whoops, that's the wrong version. Let me go back to the right one. Sorry, my mistake. I should close this one now since I'm not using this one anymore. So you see, we have more settings here now. So this is pretty much the same, but deploy has more options in the Pro version. So you can deploy directly to an SFTP server, to GitHub, to Amazon AWS, To Bunny CDN directly, Tiny House, Simply CDN is deprecated, and DigitalOcean. They do mention them on the website, but it looks like they have been deprecated. Don't know if it's going to use SFTP instead, something like that. Doesn't mention on the site that it's deprecated, but anyway. So you see here we have the forms. So do you use forms? I'm going to say yes. Do you use comments? I don't, in my case, because I don't have any posts. Static URL. When using forms and comments and simple, you may encounter core issue as you make requests from your static website to your original one. Okay. If you make requests to your static, from your static to the original one, that means that you absolutely need to have the WordPress one, I guess, still live somewhere. And we will talk about that a little bit later, but of course, you will want to keep the WordPress version still live because you will want to you will need it to make modifications on your website and re-export again. So you will want to do that, but of course, not necessarily in the same server or in the same place. So looks like you need that for forms. You may need to make changes, so maybe not. Add the URL static website to allow course from it. I'm gonna put the same URL here. Though I'm gonna change the files later on. Select course method. Let's go with that one. Iframe. I don't need to use iframes, so let's save those settings. Search, I don't want to do any search, but you could use that as well. And optimize here, we can minify files. Let's minify everything just to make sure. And this website doesn't have WP Rocket, by the way, installed, but the other one did. So let's minify everything, hoping that everything will still work as expected. And let's optimize images with short pixel. So it does use short pixel as well. That's cool. So you can have, of course, a free short pixel key. In my case, I do have short pixel, so I'm going to use my pro version. Of course, I'm going to blur the or remove the API key. So I'm going to use that. And when the video is posted, do I back up the original image? Let's say yes. And content directory, blah, blah, blah. Everything is fine. Replace plugin names if I want to. Don't necessarily want. So all these options are not there usually. Hide REST API. So I don't know if that will increase the size of my file, but possible. Hide WordPress version, generator, DNS, RDS header, emojis. Gonna hide everything because I don't use those anyway. Disable our XML, embed script, debug, manifest script. I'm going to get rid of all of those and click Save Settings. All right, so I did enter my short pixel API key. It doesn't show it. That's perfect. If you have clients that has access to the website, that's what you want. By the way, if you don't have a short pixel account, you can always go there and create a free account by clicking free sign up. But there's only 100 free credits per month. And since one image can have up to 4 or 5 different sizes, this is not that much, to be quite honest. That being said, of course, when you're in WordPress, you can just wait a couple of months for all the images to be optimized. But of course, when you are inside of the HTML version, you cannot do that. I don't know here with the optimization if it's going to do the same number of images, by the way, so maybe it will use less credits. It doesn't even show me how many credits that I have, by the way, so we'll see. Like I said, we do it live. So utilities here, nothing special, seems to be the same options as the free version. Temporary files directory, debugging mode. Okay. There's one thing that I didn't notice is that when we remove the plugin, this folder here doesn't get removed. So you will have to do that manually. And I was looking if there is any option to delete the folder or the files when you delete the plugin, and it doesn't seem to be any. So not that good. Also, another thing that I didn't notice when installing the Pro version that we don't have with the free version, it uses Freemius. So I know that it's a bummer for some people. Some people will simply don't want to use that just because of that. Free version seems to be okay. You don't even need to log into Freemius or anything like that. I know that you can usually skip, but you don't even see a Freemius dialog box, if I can say it like that, on the free version. But in the Pro version, yes, you need to activate via Freemius. I don't see another Freemius screen. By the way, when I activated forms, form is there. So I don't know if it's going to see my my forms from my okay, my Elementor forms, contact form, Revity forms, external service. So it might not recognize my Bricks Builder form. I will see. But still, it seems to be only for configuration. So again, I'm going to enter that, pause the video and enter that and see what happens. All right, so I did a lot of testing. It's been hours since I've paused the video because I did try a lot of different settings on my server and of course in the Simply Static options. I don't know why when I was enabling those features and the image optimization, everything was enabled like it is right now. The output was not good. The layout was changed. So I disabled everything, testing one at a time, then retesting again and retesting again. Finally disabling everything except image optimization. Was not working. Disabled everything, and then at some point it started working again. So I re-enabled everything except image optimization, since it was the last one that I had deactivated. So everything seems to be fine again. So re-enable it, everything is fine. So I don't know what happened at the beginning, why it wasn't working. The layout was changed, but anyway, now everything's fine. For the forms, I did test it a little bit, but from what I see in the documentation, I really think it takes one of, for now, Contact Form 7, Gravity Form, or Elementor Forms, because it needs the ID and so on. And yes, we have an ID with Bricks Builder, but it doesn't seem to work because there are other things to consider as well. So I don't think it will work with one of those forms. So this is one thing to consider. I did some tests with the Pro version, with everything activated, with everything optimized. And as you can see, the score is pretty much the same as what we had previously. Nothing has changed really. Okay. I don't know if it was because it was already optimized, the images were already optimized or what, but it didn't change anything. You do see that my SEO score here is better than it used to be, but it's not because of Pro. I did hoping that it would change something, change the, well, with Pro, multilingual is supported. That being said, it was still on at 85, and it was still saying the same thing as it says here, that the attribute is not valid and that the canonical also was not valid. So what finally, because of that slash here, so what finally made a change, and I guess it's available in the free version as well, was simply to replace here, if I go, I think it's in the general section. Yeah, I went with absolute URL instead of relative path. And that finally made the change to put the SEO to 100%. So seems to be the only difference. Maybe it's because the way it was built, the name, or I don't know. But anyway, so you are able, if you use absolute path, to reach that 100% here for the SEO. So, uh, well, conclusion in a certain way, the pro version and the free version in my specific case did not make really any difference. Multilingual was still working with the free version. All the optimization that I did enable didn't make any difference in terms of performance anyway. Yes, it probably does have its advantages though, because of course you can remove the WordPress version and things like that. So probably still good. Didn't make a difference in terms of performance though. For the forms, you need to have specific form plugins, so it didn't make any change in my case. So, conclusion. Is it worth it or not? Well, it does have its advantages and it does have its drawback. So, for example, if you are already using good caching plugin and security plugins like I do, WP Rocket and so on, it's about the same thing in terms of performance. So this is not really the place where you will gain anything. Between the free and pro version, in my case anyway, didn't make any difference. Again, it might in some other circumstances. Of course, if you want to use search, forms, comments, and so on, then you need the pro version. So the advantage of that over a WordPress site with a good caching plugin, as we mentioned, is what? Well, we have the speed, the same speed, without having a caching plugin. So for example, WP Rocket, you need to pay for that. So of course, it's a little drawback in that area. Simply Static, of course, you still need to pay for that. But currently in AppSumo, the deal is pretty good. So if you want to have a lifetime license, then it might be the good time. Regular price, not sure, but it will be worth it. Second thing, the security. Again, some people don't like to have a security plugin. It does slow down the website and so on, firewall and so on. So it is more secure. Is it more secure than using a security plugin? Some people would say yes, probably. I'm not sure. But it is true that if you have a static site, just regular HTML site, there's nothing to worry about the database security. And of course, they cannot hack the PHP version, log in into your admin account or things like that, since everything is in HTML. And by the way, I didn't change that, but you know that you can also change. I don't remember if it requires the pro version. Where am I? Optimize. It's in Optimize. You can change the name of the folders here. So I would believe that if you do so, it will also remove any, let's say, not instances, but reference. That's what the term that I was referring to. Any reference to WordPress, because I don't have really any reference to WordPress right now. Sorry. Except that, of course, if we take a look at the folders, you see WP content, WP includes, and so on. So that notifies you, of course, that it's WordPress. Now, of course, if I change those folders, then there won't be any clue that it's WordPress actually. Though, might not do anything, but except that they might try to find the real website. I don't know. What else? Of course, you can have a certain economy because if you don't have to pay, especially if you pay yearly or monthly for security or cache plugin, then those fees will be removed if you go with something like Simply Static. Space is an issue. I didn't test with the pro version, but with the free version, I had something a little less than 30 megabytes for the entire website. For the WordPress website, the exact same website, with the plugins that you saw, of course, it was 211 megabytes plus 11 megabytes for the database. So a total of 222 megabytes. So you don't need to have a database with Simply Static, of course, for the site that you export. And of course, almost 10% of the size. Of course, because of that, you could use a cheaper hosting because you need to have a good hosting for WordPress because it slows down your website. So even though you do have WP Rocket or a caching plugin, you still need to have a pretty good web host. So the fact that you have an HTML site would allow you to have a cheaper web host that is a little bit slower, that is certainly less secure, and so on. Why would you do that? Well, of course, it is cheaper to have. So you could have, for example, in my case, I have few lifetime deals that I was able to get for hosting, but I would never put a client on that. I only have those for testing. Uh, but maybe with a solution like Simply Static, I could use those to host my regular website, my regular WordPress website, that I would not put on the web in the sense that not visible, no domain name that would point to them. That they will simply be for editing and then to export again to my static website. And in that regard, I could put one of those or many of those lifetime deals for hosting, though they are cheaper, and simply use my real hosting for hosting my static sites. And you don't have to have a WordPress hosting in that regard and so on. So these are some advantages. Is it worth it for you or not? That's up to you. But of course, the free version is really close to what the pro version provides you. So if you can access the AppSumo deal, then maybe you will think that it's worth it for you. But if not, I'm not sure that it's really worth the price, to be quite honest. Unless you don't want to have a cache plugin and security plugin and so on. Also, remember that the pro version uses freemiums while the free version doesn't, so it might be a difference for you as well. Disadvantage, one of the disadvantages of the pro version is what we just mentioned. Also, of course, you need to have two sites. The WordPress site, unless you're sure 100% that you will never make any change, you will want to keep it, because if you want to edit something or add a feature to your website, you will need to have the WordPress website. Of course, if you do know HTML and CSS, you can probably go into those files here and make the changes manually. This is something that would be possible, but probably just for small changes like changing text, changing colors, things like that. But for more than that, you would probably want to go back to the WordPress site. Also, if you make edits, you will have to re-export again, so hopefully you don't do that too often. Of course, with the Pro version, you can just export the changes. You can also create, I don't remember the name, but let me just get that. You have some optimization, of course, but in my case, it didn't make any real difference. Incremental export, single export, of course, and bulk management. You can create, and this is not the term that I was looking for, but anyway, you can create things that build export that you can probably reuse over and over again instead. Also, what else? Yeah, that's about it. So, two sites to maintain might be a big roadblock for you, of course. I would say that if you use it, it's probably better for something like what I just have here, a landing page, a one-page website, things like that. Sites that don't change too often. I would not use that for sites with blogs. I would absolutely not use that for sites with WooCommerce or things like that. So just for really basic portfolio website, then I could use something like that. So I did buy the personally the Simply Static Unlimited version. I will have to test it. We have, of course, an AppSumo. That's the great thing. You have 2 months to test it and make a decision whether to refund or not. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to check that and decide for myself. I know that the first time that I looked at it, honestly, I passed. Now, I thought that maybe it could allow me to have a cheaper hosting and things like that. And like I said, the free version is pretty also good. So you might want to stick with just the free version as well for a few sites here and there. So really up to you. But this is a good time to test it if you want to, since Absumo offers you a refund for 2 months. So I hope you found that review helpful. Have a great day. And of course, if you like the video, put a thumbs up and you can subscribe to my channel for more information about WordPress and all the tools. Thank you and have a good day.